What's going on, guys? It's Tetrosphere, and I got a video today, just a kind of little quick discussion type video. I just have a few notes here off to my side that I want to discuss. Nothing too crazy or in-depth, just want to briefly touch upon a few thoughts that I've had about Genesys format. Now that we've had the new list for about, not quite a week. And, I've been able to play around with it and check out the format as it is with, Konami being able to make a list with actual data, deck lists, observations, player behavior, things of that nature. And I just want to talk about things that I think are maybe being slept on, things that are really good, things that are really bad, what I expect to see happen in the next adjustment, or at least maybe not so much what I expect to see, but more so what I hope to see. And I want you guys to let me know down below what you guys think about what I'm saying. Maybe there's some stuff I'm missing or some stuff you flat out disagree with, or maybe you agree with what I'm saying, and let me know down below that as well, so that way I kind of know whether or not I'm landing on the right page of the community here. I'm not claiming to be an expert on the format, but for what it's worth, at least the past couple weeks, it is literally the only format I've played because I just flat out quit Advanced, and Hat format has not fired at my locals since Genesys dropped, because people have just kind of put their attention into that as far as alternative formats go, which I half expected to happen. Regardless, let's go ahead and jump on into the discussion. So the first thing I want to talk about is these top 4 decks here: Punk, Archmage, Odon, and Radiant Typhoon. And just so you guys know that there's like no bias or malice towards any of these decks here, I play Radiant Typhoon. But what I'm about to say is that I think all of these decks should probably get a decent chunk of points, just because to me right now they are pretty clear outliers in terms of power level, and they are all very, very cheap to play, or you're getting a really, really good deal for the points that you do have to spend. So Punk and Archmage, I just feel like are really egregious combo decks. Not in the sense necessarily that I think they put up the most oppressive board going first. Punk might, but I don't really think so. I think there might be some decks out there that do better at going first. The problem is Punk and Archmage also have really strong grind game, and I just feel like an inherent weakness of combo decks, especially in a lower power format, should be that they don't grind as well as the control decks. But when you have a deck like Punk or Archmage, which can play really wide off of 1 card or sometimes 2 cards, and put up a really oppressive board going first, and then also on turn 3 have the recursion that a control deck would have, that just does not lead to very satisfying gameplay, because once you work through the board the first time, it should be like rewarding to you that you were able to work through the impressive board that the combo deck was able to set up. And I'm fine with combo decks doing that. I don't think that there's like inherently an issue of combo putting up strong boards. The problem is when you work through that board with a control deck, and then that board is, and then that deck on turn 3 is able to just be a control deck with you and grind with you. You don't get the win that you deserved for working through the board, and that just feels really bad. So I don't think Punk and Archmage need to be unplayable, but I do think that they should be in a similar point total as to like what Memento is at, where you have basically 3 names that are like 33 points. So you just physically can't play the engine at full power, which means some cards that you would like to play at 3 copies, you end up playing at 1 copy, which in theory won't reduce the ceiling of your deck, but it will reduce the consistency a little bit, and it will greatly reduce your grind game, which I think is what you want to see with strong combo decks, is that their grind game is not very good. So that's where I'm at with Punk and Archmage. With Odon, I feel like this deck really struggles going second, which is somewhat of a balancing mechanism, but it is just so strong and consistent at going first. The engine is nearly free. They only have 1 card with a small amount of points on it, so you do get to play very powerful non-engine with it. And in addition to that, it's also quite popular. So with that in mind, I just feel like Odon is another one of those decks where it probably doesn't need to see names at 33 points, but like Man could be 10, Field Spell could be 10, and I don't know, maybe another card that they play at 1 could be 10 or 15. just so that way you're spending a good like 50 to 70 of your points on your engine, so that you can play like some non-engine, but you're not like being egregious about it. I think that is kind of where I want to see Odon. And then with Radiant Typhoon, I feel like this deck is just too versatile. Of all 4 decks here, without question, it has the best time going second, but it's also very strong going first. Now, like I said with the combo decks, I don't mind that they can play wide. I just wish that they couldn't play wide and grind. I kind of feel like control decks should be in a similar situation where they should have very impressive and very resilient grind game, but they should not be able to play as wide as they want whenever they want as well. Now, the problem with doing that with Radiant Typhoon is I don't really know how you accomplish this, because the only thing that really allows the deck to play wide is how much draw power it has. And if you put points on the draw power, you're really just forcing the deck to make like some concessions in terms of like the pointed non-engine quick plays that it would play. Like for example, something that I think is very reasonable would be to put 15 points on vision, because there's no way I don't play 3 vision. I don't care if it's 33 points, I'm playing 3 vision, but say we put it to 15. That's 45 of my points in vision. All I'm doing is cutting 2 Called by the Graves. So I still have Totem Bird, I still have Cicada King. If you want to play it, you still have Lars, you still have Forbidden Droplet, you still have Enter Blathnir. So I don't think that putting points on vision is actually going to fix the problem of Radiant Typhoon being super flexible, in the sense of it being great first or second, it being great playing wide or playing narrow. But I do think what it could do is it could make it where it'll still be versatile, but you'll reduce how good it is at both things a bit. So you're not going to make it one-dimensional. You're just going to make it a little bit worse at both dimensions while keeping it 2-dimensional, which I don't think is the ideal outcome for Radiant Typhoon. I just think it's the likely one and the most reasonable without going completely nuclear, like putting 40 points on vision, which I just don't think is reasonable. I think 15 on vision is, or Crocea, I guess. Either way, I would think vision's the better hit, but regardless, 15 points on a card that I absolutely am going to play 3 of is probably where I would start. And then you might maybe talk about putting, like, if that is not enough, maybe you put like 5 to 10 points on Runic Fountain. So that way maybe that doesn't become the best way to play it. Or once again, if you decide to keep playing the Runic cards, you kind of reduce your power in both dimensions, but keep the 2-dimensional aspect. That's what I think for Radiant Typhoon would be pretty reasonable. Those are the only like big misses I think from the points adjustment in terms of decks. I know DB Grinder just put up that replay of like some really egregious Lunalight Draco Tail deck that ended on like double Liger plus Draco Tail stuff. And look, that's one match. I don't know if that's going to become like a mainstream problem. I don't know if that was just like, I don't know how consistently that deck is going to do that, but regardless of that example, even before I saw it, my next point here that you can clearly see is Liger Dancer. Lunalight is not as good in Genesys as it is in Advanced for the simple fact of it not having its pendulum monsters. I'm not naive to that fact, but Liger Dancer is a very degenerate boss monster in a lower powered format, even with the kaijus in rotation. In heavy rotation, Liger Dancer is still very oppressive, and I don't think we should be balancing cards on the back of, well, the opponent might draw the card that just outs it, because what if they don't? You have a non-game, and you have an experience that is just not very fun. So for that reason, and this is going to sound heinous, but the only reason I'm saying to put this many points is so you can't play 2. Liger Dancer should be at 51 points. I don't think that that is going to ruin a pure Lunalight strategy. A pure Lunalight strategy, I I might be wrong, but I am almost 100% positive that no other card that deck needs to play has any points. And I'm fine with that because it's balanced, again, by the aspect of not having your pendulums. So I'm okay with Lunalight being a strategy that's playable in the format and can do its thing and can spend some points on non-engine. It should be impossible to play 2 Liger Dancers. I should be able to out your Liger Dancer, and then it's just gone. That should be the end of the story with Liger Dancer, and you shouldn't be able to play it in other fusion decks like Draco Tail. So I think Liger Dancer absolutely needs to go to 51 points. Lunalight still has 49 points to spend on good non-engine and maybe extra pushes or extenders. It can still do its thing. Just put Liger Dancer to 51. The next 2 cards here that I think were like individual card misses were Shifter and Dimensional Fissure. I'm beating a dead horse on this. Shifter needs to be 33 points and Defy needs to be at least 10. I don't see how anyone could possibly reasonably disagree with that. I mean, if you want to be a troll about it, fine. Let me know down below that I'm coping on Defy and Shifter, but bro, come on. Like, come on. I'm not going to elaborate any further. Come on. Okay, so these next 2 here are decks that I want to talk about in like a very positive light, and that's Goatee and Vanquish Soul. Goatee I want to talk about because I believe it's like a slept-on powerhouse. I think that deck is very strong. Its game plan is very strong. I'm pretty sure the entire engine is 0 points. So even if Shifter goes to 33, you can still play 3 Shifter and not have, and you just don't get the other pointed non-engine, which is fine. Or in the current world we live in, you can play 3 Shifter and still have 70 points for other good non-engine. Its Radiant Typhoon matchup is phenomenal because the runic cards just advance your own game plan. I really think this deck is super strong, and I don't see a lot of people talking about it. So I'm putting it here as like a kind of sleeper pick that if you want to break into the format with something that you don't think a lot of people are expecting, Goatee's a pretty good pick, I think. And if I'm just like living under a rock and everyone knows this is a great pick and I'm just like not hearing the chatter about it, let me know where you're seeing this discussion, because I need to be in that Discord, because I'm not seeing people talk about Goatee. Vanquish Soul obviously is not a sleeper pick. Everyone knows about Vanquish Soul. It was obviously the best deck in the last format, far and away. I have it here because I think if you like this deck, there's no reason to drop it. I think it's still very good. I think you can play 2 Su, 2 Rosin, 2 Xiaolong. That's 99 points if my math off the top of my head is not... if I'm not yapping on that math, you could play 2, 2, and 2. And I think, and then obviously just no extra ab, no pointed non-engine, just play like the free stuff like the Kaiju and Kurakara and stuff like that. And I think you're in a really good spot with that deck still. I think it's very cool, and I think it's very strong still. I know a lot of people it's kind of a fan favorite deck. A lot of people like its playstyle, and they find it very fun and interactive. I don't disagree at all. I fully believe they addressed it appropriately. I think the points it's at right now is perfect, and I don't think it's unplayable. I would say it's even still a very strong tier 2 pick. Obviously, it doesn't have all the upside that it had prior, but it still has a lot of really great upside, and it's got a lot of stuff going for it, and you can absolutely still make it work. So those are just my thoughts on the format, at least as far as what changed or what needs to change between last format and now and next format. Again, let me know down below what you guys think about what I think. And also let me know if you would be interested in cards that cost 0 points that I think are being kind of slept on. Because again, there are some really great techs in this format that I'm just not seeing a lot of people talk about. And I really think that we should be discussing and experimenting and developing this format a lot more, because there's a lot of really great stuff you can play for 0 points that is going to allow you to play the engines you like that cost points without making major concessions, but while still maintaining fair and fun gameplay. All right, that's all. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you on the next one. Peace.